Hello and welcome back to our opposition preview. Right, we're talking about Everton today. There's a lot to get through. So, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me back on the channel.
Great stuff. So, how's the season been so far? 3 games, 3 defeats. How are you feeling?
Well, it couldn't have been worse, honestly. I mean, you're talking serious, like 1s and 2s out of 10s if you're rating the season so far. The small shining light was the second half performance against Bournemouth for about the first half an hour, and a couple of the new signings. One of them, Tim Irbunam from Aston Villa. But apart from that, it's been pretty poor, and we're gonna have to start picking up points soon and getting into a bit of form.
So, I mean, going into the season, then 3 defeats. It's not great, and I can imagine. As a football fan, no matter where you are in the league, you always go into any season with excitement, hope, and sort of like that sort of thinking we could probably do something this year. And then 3 games in, boom, 3 losses. What do you feel like has got to change? Are you worried at the minute, or do you think you've been here before, you'll just get through it?
I'm not particularly worried at the moment. I'm just more frustrated. I think the Brighton game we played well in parts in the first game of the season. We just got punished by a better side. The Tottenham game, that was a write-off from the very beginning. And the Bournemouth game, as I mentioned, there was a couple of signs, but on the whole, it again, you go into it with so much hope, and it is the hope that kills you, and it's the beast that is football. I think what's gone wrong has just been the management in game from Sean Dyche and his staff, and being able to. What really surprised me, I was really surprised against Bournemouth, because that was what we were really good at last season, was going ahead and keeping a lead, especially when you go 2 goals up. We did that last season, and we managed to go from strength to strength. If you look at the exact same time last year, we played Bournemouth at home, and we got our first win of the season in a 3-0 win. And that slightly is the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about, is last season's Everton gone because of, it can play a bit of a mind game with you. The fact that we were able to win that game last season quite comfortably, and we didn't do it this season. Yeah, I think there just needs to be a bit of a change in attitude, and a bit of a change in the way the manager's going to play, and the personnel as well, definitely. Branthwaite's still out injured. When he comes back, I'm sure it'll get much better, because at the minute we're playing with Michael Keane at centre-half, and when you've got him at centre-half, you're never really going to do much. But there is players to come in, the likes of Jake O'Brien from Lyon as well. Iliman Ndiaye has been good when he's played. Jesper Lindstrom from Napoli, still yet to play in the Premier League. So there is stuff to look forward to, but it's definitely been disappointing so far.
Yeah, we'll touch on Sean Dyche then, and your feelings towards him and the vision. I think the Bournemouth game was. I mean, I watched that game and I noticed that Ndiaye was really good, as well as Irbunam. And when you're looking at that performance and the chances you created, you had a couple more after you were 2-0 up, weren't you? And to like capitulate the way that you did, that's not really what an outsider would look at a Sean Dyche team would say. You'd look at it and think 2-0 up, shore it out, get the job done. So, how are you feeling about Dyche then? I think we've done our episode, and you said he's been there about 2 years now. So, moving forward into this season, what are you hoping that he can do? Like you mentioned, some of the new players you've got as well. Like, are you hoping for a bit of a formation tweak, or?
Well, you mentioned it there, that you wouldn't expect that from a Sean Dyche side at all. Being 2-0 up at home and losing. And that was what I was saying. It's so unbelievable that was able to happen, when really that's meant to be Sean Dyche's biggest strength as a manager. What I hope is that we can just go through the season similar to how we did last season. I thought we had a really good season last year, and pick up a couple of big wins along the way, a couple of memorable moments. And I do want to see him change the formation and stick a couple of the new players in. And just change it a little bit. I mean, every single time we've played under Sean Dyche, it's been 4-4-1-1, minus a couple of little personnel changes here and there, which have worked. It's very, very similar every year, and every game seems to be one that you're constantly having to fight that extra yard because the other team is better than you, and that is a really, really sad existence for a football team.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of your new players, and so who have you recruited, and how's Team Irabunum doing?
Yeah, so I'll go through the others first. So Ndai, really, really, really positive signs from him so far. Just his ability to get on the ball and turn and run at people is something that we haven't seen at Everton in quite a while. Can play off the left or in the middle, and yeah, he's been probably the best one, along with Tim Irabunum. Jesper Lindstrom, Danish winger who we signed from Napoli in the summer. Spent time at Bayer Leverkusen as well, where he did quite well for them. And he's played in a couple of preseason friendlies, scored a really nice free kick in a preseason friendly, and also played against Doncaster in the Carabao Cup. And I think he did okay. Gives us something a little bit different in that he can play wide, but when you have the likes of McNeil or Harrison, they stick to those wings an awful lot. And the onus is to get crosses into the box from out wide. With Lindstrom, it's a bit different. He drifts into the middle a lot more than them two. So I'm excited to see him. Jake O'Brien coming in from Lyon. We haven't seen too much of him yet. Big physical centre half. Hopefully, the plan I'm hoping anyway is to get him playing with Jared Branthwaite towards at some point this season. And of course, we've got Tarkovsky there who can help see him through into the first team. That's what we're really hoping for. And Irabunum, he's been, as I mentioned in the video on our channel, definitely the standout player for us so far. I think in terms of the Onana Irabunum sort of swap, if you like, both teams got a really good deal there, because maybe Irabunum, his style of play and the personnel that Villa already had mean that he didn't get too many opportunities. And for Onana at Everton, it was a case of he was maybe playing a bit within himself. We saw signs of how good he can be, and his physicality, but the role he was being asked to play for Everton didn't really showcase his best attributes. And I think swapping those two players over has allowed both of them to grow and thrive. And Irabunum's been fantastic for us so far this season. Really does he give the ball away. Really good turn of pace on the ball. That's what I like. He's able to something a bit different in midfield rather than just your average destroyer like your Sagana Gaze and stuff like that. But the new signings, we just need to throw them in, to be honest, Luke, and throw caution to the wind a little bit, because it can't really get any worse. If it comes to it, I'd rather he threw them all in against Villa and we got beat 3-0, and if he played the same team and we got beat 1-0.
Yeah. You know, he likes his favourites, though, doesn't he, Dyche?
Oh, yeah.
He likes who he likes. So, a talking point for you that's probably very long-winded, I have no idea what's happening, is to do with your ownership and what's going on there. So, just like dumb it down for us, like what's happening. Like, are you any closer to getting a new owner? I know he's someone called Texter. Is he sort of linked?
So it's a funny situation, because there was a lot of interest from a lot of different parties, but of course the club behind the scenes has got so much debt, and there's other things, factors at play that have stopped anyone really taking over the club and wanting to go through with it. It seems like John Texter, who's currently involved with Crystal Palace and Lyon, he's going to be the one who's going to do it. He's going to sell his shares in Crystal Palace and buy Everton. A couple of weeks back, he was talking very much from an Everton point of view, saying the likes of we, and talking about we really intend to buy Everton. He seems very set on it. But honestly, as an Evertonian, I hold my breath with pretty much everything now, because there's been a lot of times when it looked like the club would be sold, the debt would be cleared, and I've heard approximately 650 million is the amount of debt involved with the club. But you've got to bear in mind that if someone does come in and clear that debt, you've then got a very expensive stadium that can make money back. So with the stadium almost being completed, I think it's probably about 2 or 3 months away from completion now. It's a worthy investment, I think, for a business person to come in, even with the amount of debt. I'm trying to sell it now on your channel. I'm trying to sell the club, but
I
no,
ain't got the money, mate.
if any Villa fans watching, well, it's we just need a bit of a new lease of life. I mean, we've had an interim CEO in Colin Chong for quite a while now, and when we've had the interims in these big positions for so long that they're sort of not really interims anymore, that shows you that there's not really a vision. There's nothing going forward, and it really frustrated me because I was watching the Wrexham documentary and seeing how they came in and immediately got someone who knew about football and went, okay, common sense. Let's get someone who knows football. Let's get someone who can do transfers. Let's do all that. I think Farhad Mashiri's come in, and I don't know if he's very good at picking these people. I mean, Kevin Thelwell in the director of football role's done all right. Signed a few good players, but to be honest, I couldn't even tell you who's running it at the moment. I think Sean Dyche is doing a lot of it himself.
He might be. He might. That's why he's probably took his suit off and just in his trackies, so he's comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. So, season aspirations. Then, as an Everton fan, like, where are you hoping you can get to this year?
Don't get relegated for a start. Have a bit of a cup run, and like I said, win a couple of big games. Maybe win a derby or a Man United or something like that. And have a bit of a cup run and just try and push ourselves up the table a little bit. Have some good signs at least where we can look forward to going and watching these players, because right now, as I mentioned before, you feel like it feels like a full-time job because you go in and you're having to put the extra support in because every team is better than you. So just something a bit calmer. That's all I'm asking for. Yeah. But aspirations, I'd probably say, if we can take where we finished last season, which I think would have been 12th without the deductions, anywhere around there, I'm fairly happy with for this season.
Yeah, I mean, on your video, we were talking about like the similarities between Villa sort of struggling and you're now struggling and you are higher than what what you are, and etc. And there's a lot of, and I know how you feel. Like I know that feeling of like, I even know that feeling of what happened against Bournemouth. I remember when we had Dean Smith. I think it was our first season back in the Premier League, and we absolutely we were so good against Spurs, and we just made this mistake and we lost the game. And it's literally it's sickening. And I just, that feeling is just horrible. And yeah, it's not nice at all. So yeah, I do feel for you of what's happening. But thoughts on Villa then, from an outsider looking in, what are you seeing?
I'm absolutely made up with Aston Villa. I think we spoke a bit about your Arsenal game last week, and how you say you could have won. I think Arsenal were just really clinical in the periods of the game where they had to be, and that's what, if they're going to challenge for the title, they need to be. They need to have that. They need to have that cutting edge, and I think finally this season they may have it. But for Villa, I didn't see any bad signs from Villa at all, and I'm really happy that the Villa are finally back in the big time and competing with the elite. I mean, you've got Bayern Munich at home this season. That's all I could really hope for. I mean, when that come up, when I was watching the draw, I got shivers up my spine thinking, wow, that's going to be some night at Villa Park. That, but yeah, I think for Villa, I think Emery's done so good in establishing a team of players who can play in multiple positions, and also players that you've never really batted an eyelid at. They just seem to come in and slot right in. The likes of Morgan Rogers and Duran. It seems to be a case of them really just having that infrastructure and him being able to put a bit of belief into these players. And again, it's rejuvenated the fan base, hasn't it? And now the fans are right behind Villa again, and and they can cook on gas and try and do well in Europe and stay where they were last season, in and around the fourth place, top towards the top of the table, where Villa have been in the past, and for the size of the club, really should be. So yeah, I'm really pleased with Villa, and they're a great team to watch as well. I mean, so much attacking football, and the likes of Watkins. Oh my word! I mean, he seems to just when the ball gets into the final third, Villa look like they can score from anywhere, and that's what's really impressive about them. So yeah, I think on the whole, it's taken me by surprise an awful lot how quickly it sort of happened. But I think Villa right now are really the one to watch in this league.
Cheers, mate. It's not nice words. So on the game then, as you probably know, it's the most played fixture in English football. We hear that every time.
That'll be bingo card.
Yeah, right. I've got it in there. So, right, Villa Park, we've sort of had the upper hand over you since we came back into the Premier League, especially at Villa Park. What do you think Villa can expect? I mean, do you think that game the Bournemouth game will have made Dyche think, right, we can't lose this? Or do you think he'll just be like, it's another game, it's a fresh start, we just play how we would play anyway? How do you think he'd approach it?
I wish I knew. I'd probably say he'd do the exact same again, because that's what I said to you earlier. It seems to be the same every game with the way he sets the team up. But who knows? Because that result against Bournemouth was so bad, he might be forced to show his cards and play a couple of different players and try something else. I'd say for what Villa fans can expect going into this one, and I mean, I know the type of Everton's. I know an Everton side when I can see it. I can tell the quality. I've seen us under Ancelotti when we seem to go away and win at every single team. I've seen us under Moyes when we managed to beat every single team at home. I've seen us under Lampard when we didn't manage to beat anyone. So I think I'm pretty good at predicting how Everton are going to go into a game. And I think if anyone wants to go to their first Aston Villa game and see a win, I think I'd pick this one, because for me, Everton, whereas Villa are starting to, become that team that you're afraid of playing, Everton are the toothless dog sat in the corner who's too scared to come out and even do anything. We just seem to have absolutely no football in nous, or any sort of intention of coming into a game and really sticking it to the opposition. We do feel a lot at times, and this has been the case with Everton going away from home for most of my lifetime. We seem to just hide in the corner and pretend not to be there and when the going gets tough. And I wish I could say that we're this fantastic club who'll give it a go anywhere we go, but that's just not the case, because with this one, it might be a case of them just trying to sit and not lose. I said on our one that if we're going to get anything from this game, we have to stay in it until at least 70 minutes and then go for it in the last 20.
Who have you got after Villa, do you know?
I think we've got 2 away games. I think the next one is Leicester away, and then because everyone's got a string of 2 aways and 2 homes. We've got Southampton in the League Cup on Tuesday, and then it's Leicester away on the 21st, and then Palace and Newcastle, 2 home games in a run. So, I mean, even if we lose this one, I think Leicester, Palace, and Newcastle, there's a chance for us to get some points there. But to be honest, every single team you look at just seems better than us, and it's really frustrating. I know you know how I feel as well, but it's poor.
Yeah, well, hopefully you pick up this season anyway. I always look out for Everton, and I hope you do really well and all this sort of stuff. So so what we'll do is I'll tag your channel in the description and the title to the video. Villa fans, go and check it out. I've also done a preview over there as well. So if you want some more content, go and show Stephen and the channel some love as well. So cheers, mate. And I'll speak to you probably next year on the reverse fixture.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. Best of luck for the rest of the season, Villa fans. And yeah, try and get as far as you can in that trophy, and hopefully, bring Aston Villa back to where they should be.